Good morning, students. Now I'll teach you the second treatment, that is accounting for goodwill. As we have already discussed that accounting standard 26 covers intangible asset and goodwill is our intangible asset. It states that goodwill should be recognized in the books only when consideration is paid for it. Means money or anything money worth is paid for it. Thus, while there is change in profit ratio or admission or retirement, death, goodwill is not recognized, but it is adjusted through partner's capital account. Means its entry must be passed through partner's capital account. Now, everything will be mentioned in the question and you have to pass entries accordingly. Valuation of goodwill I have already explained in chapter 3. Now, how the entries will be done, that I am going to explain you today. First is when goodwill is adjusted through partner's capital account. Now the journal entry, the very first step you have to do here is you have to first calculate gaining or sacrificing ratio. Applying the formula as discussed in the last video, sacrifice ratio is equal to old ratio minus new ratio. After getting gaining sacrificing ratio, you will pass a journal entry, that is gaining partner's capital account debit to sacrificing partner's capital account. In case it is fixed capital, it is mentioned in the question that capital is fixed, then you will use word current account in place of capital account. So the first entry is clear to all of you, when goodwill is adjusted through partner's capital account. Second beta, when goodwill is raised means it is recognized and then it is written off. So the very first entry is for raising goodwill account debit to partner's capital account, full value of goodwill in old ratio you have to pass. And in second, you have to just reciprocate this entry, partner's capital account debit to goodwill account in new profit sharing ratio. Third thing is writing off existing goodwill. Now it will be also mentioned, it is not compulsory. If there is existing goodwill, you have to write it off, then you have to pass this third entry. All partners capital account debit to goodwill account in old ratio. All partners capital account debit to goodwill account in old ratio. Now cases will be given and accordingly you have to pass the entry. First is when goodwill is adjusted through partner's capital account. Second, when goodwill is raised and written off. If this line is mentioned, then these entries you have to pass. Goodwill to partner's capital firstly in old ratio, then partner's capital to goodwill in new ratio. And lastly, writing off existing goodwill. If they have mentioned that goodwill existed in the books, then you have to write it off. You have to remember this. If there is goodwill is existing in the books, you have to write it off. So these are the three journal entries. Now it will become more clear to you if I'll solve sum for you. So sum number 5 from your book. Look at the sum. Page 4.39, sum number 5. A, B and C are sharing profits in the ratio 3:2:1. So this is their old ratio. And they agree to share profits equally. So the new ratio is 3 are there, equally means 1:1:1. The goodwill of the firm valued 18,000. So value of goodwill is 18,000. Suppose they have not mentioned this value and they have given you a sum to calculate goodwill, then you will calculate goodwill using the methods explained in the third chapter. Now past journal entries. Question is saying past journal entry case A, when goodwill is adjusted through partner's capital account, means this one. When goodwill is adjusted through partner's capital account. And second case, when goodwill is raised and written off. When goodwill is raised and written off. So see, I have calculated, see, old ratio 3:2:1, new ratio 1:1:1. Sacrifice of A, B, C is 3/6 minus 1/3, 2/6 minus 1/3, 1/6 minus 1/3. It comes to A sacrifice 1/6, B nothing 0, C is gaining here minus 1/6. So what is our entry beta? Gaining partner's capital account debit to sacrificing partner's capital account. it means who is gaining in this sum? C is gaining. So entry will be C's capital account debit to A's capital account. 18,000 was goodwill. 18,000 multiply 1 upon 6, 3,000. So you are going to pass this entry with 3,000. C's capital account debit to A's capital account. Gaining partner's capital account debit to sacrificing partner's capital account. So first method is clear. Now the second method. When goodwill is raised and written off. Firstly, you have to raise goodwill. Goodwill account debit to A, B and C in their old ratio. Secondly, you have to debit goodwill. Then A, B, C to goodwill account in their new ratio. Clear? Now I'll explain you one more sum regarding this, that is 8th sum. In this, goodwill is already existing in the book. So third entry will be also clear to you. And there are only 9 sums in the book. From 5 to 9, 2 I have solved and you have to solve 2 by yourself. So check out 8th sum. Read it. X, Y, Z are partners sharing profits in the ratio 5:3:2 and decided to share future profits equally. So new ratio is 1:1:1. Goodwill, on that date, goodwill appeared in the books. When this line is mentioned means goodwill is existing, you have to write it off. Goodwill appeared in the books 12,000. It was revalued 30,000, past journal entries. So firstly, the first step is calculate sacrificing ratio. Old ratio minus new ratio. You have seen that X is sacrificing 5, Y and Z are gaining 1 and 4. Okay. Now the next step. Firstly, we have to write off the goodwill. So old partners capital account debit to goodwill account in old profit sharing ratio. 12,000 was goodwill already existing. You have to write it off. X capital account debit, Y's capital account debit, Z's capital account debit to goodwill account. 12,000 you have to divide it in the ratio 5:3:2. Next, last adjustment you have to make, that is gaining to sacrificing. As Y and Z's were gaining, Y's capital account debit, Z's capital account debit to X capital account. The amount of goodwill was 30,000. 30,000 multiply 5 upon 30, you are going to get 5,000, and same 1 upon 30 and 4 upon 30. So these are the amounts you are going to get. Now I'll teach you one more thing if some of you are confused that ma'am how you have distributed this 12,000 beta. In this way you have to calculate. You have to see 5 upon 3. This is a ratio 5:3:2. 5 you have to add them. 5 plus 3 8 plus 2 10. 5 upon 10 multiply 12,000. It is 6,000. In this way 3,600 and 2,400 you are going to get. So with this you will be able to solve till sum number 9. So complete them and let me know your doubts. Thank you.